Big 12 released their preseason poll 1 through 10. Oklahoma picked first for the third consecutive year, sixth since 2011. The Sooners have won a record 11 league titles and the last 3, so pretty impressive. Of course, they're number 1 coming in this year, 46 first-place votes. West Virginia 2, TCU 3, Texas 4. I guess my only major complaint is West Virginia. And earlier we talked about Will Grier being the preseason offensive MVP, kind of the only quarterback coming back, I guess, if you will, that had any significant numbers last season. But, man, to have them at number 2, me thinking they're not going to end up at number 2 is, I guess, where my problem is. And I threw out the schedule as well, where they got to go to Lubbock, got to go to Austin, got to go to Stillwater, got to go to Ames. Tough places to play, and that's 4 easy games they can lose as well. So at the end of the season, when it's all said and done, I don't think West Virginia will be number 2.
When you look at the actual points that these guys were awarded for where they were in the standings, Oklahoma was a clear-cut number 1. I don't know anybody that's got an argument with that. Number 2 and number 3 and number 4 were all right there, within like 20 points of each other, I think. So it's not out of the realm of possibility for West Virginia to be 4 by the time this is getting wrapped up. The thing that West Virginia has that nobody else in the Big 12 has is a returning quarterback that you trust, that you know exactly what you're going to get out of. Even Oklahoma has an issue. Now, their issue is, okay, we don't know what we're going to get out of him, but we got a really, 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 really good offensive line and a really good running back and some really good wide receivers and quite possibly the best offensive mind in college football right now running our offense. So I think we'll be okay. And a defense that can keep people off, can keep other offenses off the field. There's a reason they're the number 1 team in the Big 12. I could absolutely see West Virginia finishing second. I had Oklahoma State finishing second in my preseason poll. Mike Gundy has proven enough to me in the course of his tenure at Oklahoma State that I trust him to get his quarterback ready, much like I did with Cliff Kingsbury. I'm starting to question that now with regards to that we still don't know who our starting quarterback is. And before everybody starts texting in Jet, what if it's Bowman?
Could be.
Which everybody has talked about how good he has looked this offseason. So if the Jet texters are texting in and Bowman goes out and starts game 1 because he's running the offense better, then what are y'all saying there? We don't know who the starting quarterback is. We don't have a guy that we trust right now to go out there and go execute the offense. A little bothersome to me.
Texas Tech selected number 8 in the preseason 1 through 10. Do they end at number 8 at the end of the year? What percentage do you say they do not end up at?
I could see them finishing. I don't think they're going to finish lower than 8th. I could see them finishing as high as 6th. Or maybe if all of the stars aligned and you had unprecedented health and your quarterback week 1 goes out and lights the world on fire and doesn't stop, whoever that is, I could see you playing for the Big 12 championship game. Now, am I saying they're going to? No. But as wide open as everybody after Oklahoma, I think has a legitimate shot to make the Big 12 championship game, including Texas Tech. But there's a lot of ifs and buts and candies and nuts, and we'll all have a Merry Christmas if it happens. Things have to go your way. Now, I'm also a fan of statistics with regards to the law of large numbers. Given something enough chances, it's eventually going to happen. Eventually, Texas Tech is going to be healthy for a whole year. Eventually, the ball will not bounce back into the TCU quarterback's hands again after the 6th fumble. These things are going to eventually start going your way. Is this the year it's going to happen? I don't know. But
to be determined.
The law of large numbers says at some point it's going to go your way.
Yeah, I don't think Tech finishes at 8. I kind of like the pick there, kind of with this Texas Tech basketball team, how they were kind of picked low and they exceeded expectations, got all the way to the Elite 8. Not saying Tech's going to go to the college football Final Four, but I don't think they end up 8. And if they do end up 8, what is that, a 5-7? You might beat the bottom 2.
You could be 6-6. You get 3 wins non-conference. You get 3 wins in Big 12 play, but your tiebreaker went to the team that finishes 7th.
Yeah, I don't
because what they were able to do in Big 12 play or whatever You could finish sixth. You could finish 8th and still be 6-6. And you've seen that actually happen a couple of times in Big 12. You've actually seen, wasn't it one year that it was 8 out of the 10 made a bowl game?
I think so. Or pretty close.
Was it 8 out of 10 made a bowl? Or was it 7 out of 10 that year? When it was
it could have been
bottom of the league, that it was 6-6 at the bottom because you had a bunch of teams that were all 6-6. You had a bunch of teams 6-6, 7-5. You had one dominant team, and then everybody else was just kind of mucking up the waters at that point. And that could absolutely happen.
Better chance an all-Oklahoma final or an all-Texas final?
All Oklahoma final.
And you picked Oklahoma State, too, preseason. So.
I don't think anybody's knocking Oklahoma out of the title game. So because of that, an all Oklahoma final will be a bigger possibility than an all Texas final.
75044 on the Shalonsky's text line.
Yeah, I could see maybe in 2 to 3 years if Herman keeps building and Matt Rule keeps building the way they're getting, hyped up about, which I'm not even coming close to buying for this season. Let's say all these expectations, maybe you could see it in a couple of years, but yeah, I think Oklahoma would have the best chance for next couple of years, but I'd be surprised, like you said, by either one.
I have one prediction and one bold prediction for this. I've already said my prediction. West Virginia will not finish at second. And my bold would be 2 teams in the lower half, 5 or worse, will end up getting in that title game.
Wait. 2 teams from the second half make the title game.
Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Iowa State, Texas Tech, Baylor, Kansas. One of those teams, 2 of those teams will play in the title game.
I would put some money against that one.
Much more coming up.
I would put a rent check against that one, actually.
Sunday Sports Blitz, Double T 97.3.